we were pretty innocent in some ways about the whole process of aging. We had been both incredibly healthy, and so we hadn't had much encounter with the healthcare system. Although we had visited some aging relatives in nursing homes, neither of us had had a full frontal experience of what the life care system is like in America. And truthfully, during that process, we were both stunned by the complexity and the expense of the healthcare system, by the enormous weight that was then and is even more now placed on the life care system. Indeed, both systems are in dramatic need of significant and almost total reconstruction. That's not to say that within both of those environments there are not an incredible number of people without whom our nation would be in deep trouble. They're in the trenches every day doing incredibly important work of the heart, incredibly important work of support and encouragement and healing and service to the best of their abilities. But this is a fragile system, and it certainly cannot maintain itself under the wave of numbers of human beings, many of us here and many, many more around the planet, who will be reaching out to those systems for support. No matter how much money someone has, no matter how many health care plans, no matter what, the end of life is a challenge, and the end of life will require enormous assistance. So that's really where the germination of Age Nation and Empower New Mexico began. It was so difficult for us to find ourselves, no matter how much money we could put against it or toward it, that we could not provide the kind of care for our folks at the end that we felt they had given to us at the beginning. So, at its base, that's what this is about. That's what navigating your future is about. It's what Age Nation is about. It's what Empower New Mexico is about. It's what our next book, Do Not Go Quietly, it's about. It's a call to evolution, to revolution, to greater consciousness. It's a call to all of us to look around us, to ask ourselves, what are our priorities? What are our values? Where are we putting our attention? We cannot live the second half of life, as every speaker who you've heard already has told us. We cannot live the second half in the same way we've lived the first half. We will just miss an extraordinary opportunity to touch into greater consciousness and, in the end, to model for those who come after us a new way of life. I know today when Jean talks, she's going to take us to some really wonderful places. And as she does, I really invite you, even the fans are a little crazy here. I invite you, please, as you leave today, and there are wonderful speakers today. After lunch, Dr. Brent Blackwelder is going to talk to us about the environment, and Brent is a champion. American rivers, so many areas of the environment that he has been instrumental in. Later this afternoon, Dr. Hyla Cass, she's going to help her with her sneeze. Frank and Lenny Hatch are going to introduce you to some ways of moving your body and to helping others move their bodies that are really revolutionary. I don't remember who else I'm forgetting, but
we have Robin Benson.
Robin Benson, Dr. Robin Benson.
Of Santa Fe Soul fame, wonderful naturopath and acupuncturist, and she has a bevy of practitioners there, and so much great information. Her exhibit is outside too. Please try to catch that talk too.
And there's one other person, and I apologize, but support them all, because each one of them has something to give you. And Kelly Walden,
Yeah,
Kelly Sullivan Walden is going to be talking about dreams and how you can work with them in unique ways.
We forgot because she's staying with us and she's a dear friend. But believe me, she's not last. She's amazing. So
that's really what I want to say to you. And one more thing, and then Sedena's going to talk for a few minutes, and then Jean will come up. Meister Eckhart is reputed to have said that if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, that's enough. And
don't do that. You're going to get me all
yeah, I'm sorry.
emotional here.
Thanks. So the thank you that we have is unexpressible. I could sit here for 3 days telling you stories about the people who have made this possible. Gracious, generous, hardworking, dedicated, willing to do so many things. So if you see anyone on the video crew, anyone that's a volunteer, anyone in the bookstore, the food service area, please take a moment to thank them. Okay?
Thanks, honey. Well, gosh, we decided this morning to kind of sum it up, and it's kind of hard for me to do that because there's so many things I'm passionate about and now emotional about for this whole event, but way beyond that. Like George said, it started with our folks, and for me, I'm just going to narrow it down to a couple things that really, really matter to me. I think this is the time where we need, I know I need it for myself, to resurrect our dreams. Some of us had kids or, had jobs or whatever it is, and we put those dreams aside. I've talked to so many people who've done that. And so we look at this as a time where we can literally resurrect those dreams. And I think of it like the old spectacles, respect, re-look inside at those things. Angela Sarian talks about it, stir up those gifts and those talents that are just waiting. They've been there for a really long time in our hearts, and they're just waiting to come out. And even if, you don't want to do anything, you just feel like kicking back, I'll bet you there's something in there that's a gift that, like Michael Meade said, we all came here with our own individual gift. And I'll bet you there's some way you can use that gift, share that with others, mentor others, leave a legacy. Because I really believe that we are incomparable. Every single one of us has something unique. I know I feel good when I follow that, urge in my heart to do something to help others with the gifts that I have. I mean, I love my portable energy work saved my life. It's a long story, but it literally saved my life. So that's what I share. And I get to integrate it with all of this. And I have a real passion about aging. I don't know why, but I have loved old people since I was a really young girl. When I was in Catholic school, I chose to go down the street, 34th Street, and go to the old people's home and talk to them and read to them. And I invite you to think about those people in your life that influenced you in some way, that made you laugh or feel just right and encouraged you to follow your dreams. My great grandmother, who's probably one of the most amazing people I've ever known, Leah Waterman. She was an Orthodox Jew, and I'll never forget when I was a young girl going into the house, and I just knew she said, "Come on in, darling, come on in." And she was in the tub with all these candles praying. And I'll never forget that. It was like, wow. It made me, I had this desire to understand faith from her and understand mystery from her. It was so wonderful and mysterious to me. And then I remember those phones with the big, huge numbers on them, and she couldn't read, and she would be on the phone, yelling in the phone, "Hello, this is Leah," and trying to dial, and we would laugh, and all I know is she believed in me, and I was always in trouble, and she always said, "You're a good girl. Sedena, you're a good girl." And it's people like that have encouraged me. My dad was Cherokee Indian with a splash of Scotch, she used to say. And he and my mom would take the 7 of us kids, there at that time 7, and we eventually had 8. I was the oldest, and drive us down in a big white truck with all these other people to this Tijuana orphanage. And inspired me to help others that were, less fortunate than me. And it stayed with me forever, along with, a love for Mexican food, because my mom learned from the nuns there how to cook Mexican food. So just think about that. That, and I also, one other thing is, I think it's the impetus for me to just put my whole self into this. And that is, hope is a really big word for me. I had... So funny how things like this. Had this little dachshund named Hope. And at the time, my life was in a shambles, so she was like my best friend. And it's a big word for me. It means a lot. And I think that's what we need. We need hope in a sane, sustainable way of living. For ourselves and for those who come, after us. The Hopis say that the time of the lone wolf is over. It's time to swim into the middle of the river and find your companions and go on your way. So let's do it together. Okay? Thanks.
And don't worry, we're leaving the rest of the morning for Jean, because we know how, because we're all crying in some way or another. Yeah. We're going to close with a little piece that starts our book. Not quietly. No, we will not go quietly, not meekly, into this or any other night.
We who cheered when Martin walked, and who first heard Rachel's call. We who lost our heroes to hate and tried to find ourselves in love.
We who died at Kent State and cheered when the wall came down. We who contributed to the loss of America's grace and then celebrated the rebirth of hope.
We will not go quietly, not meekly, into this or any other night.
We will harvest our experience and bay at the moon of new possibility. We will dance to life's mysteries and forge a path of renewed promise for ourselves and those who come after us.
We who hold in our hands and hearts the power to resurrect the dream, we who stood on the front lines before and who are called to do so again.
We will not go meekly, not quietly, not into this or any other night.
And that's George's prose. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you so much.
So thank you.